For me, this was always going to be what I was going to do. I had told my mother at 12 that I was going to move to Atlanta. I was going to be this full-time authoress, and I was going to just tell stories. I never wanted to be anything other than that. And I've been writing stories since I was maybe 8, 9 years old. And for me, it was just in me. Like, people know how to naturally sing. They know how to naturally dance or paint and draw. I knew how to tell stories.
Hello, educators. I am super excited to tell you about a new initiative that we are launching here at Lit Diaries. Thanks to a generous grant from the city's Year of the Youth program, we are able to offer an in-school writing program for your students. That's right, you heard it here first. We are able to get best-selling authors to come into your school through a program that we've curated here and teach them all about writing. Getting them to nurture a love of reading and writing is so critical and essential to our kids' success. And thanks to this program, we will be able to come into your school, do fun, creative writing classes in school, and then top this, at the end of it, have a small little showcase of your students' work. Doesn't that sound amazing? And I know you want to give your kids this amazing opportunity. So just reach out to us at the link below and sign up. We're looking forward to teaching your kids everything they need to know about writing.
Here's what you missed at this year's Black Writers Weekend. On Thursday, we kick off the first day of Pitch Fest before getting into our first panel. Then we end the night off mixing and mingling. After check-in and orientation on Friday, we start the second day of Pitch Fest. From 10 a.m. to 5 p.m., our guests, experts, and vendors exchange stories and information through panels, workshops, and tables. And of course, we celebrated with a social. Saturday is a bit of a scavenger hunt. Across 6 locations, we have workshops, panels, book signings, performances, and more. Our final day is the 15th annual AAMBC Awards, complete with red carpets, live music, and lots of honorees. Thank you to everyone that came out this year, and we can't wait to see you in 2024. For more information, please visit blackwritersweekend.com.
Cool.
Well, hello. Good afternoon, Lloyd. How are thou?
I am excellent. How are you?
Moving and grooving. We can never complain. Thank you so much for allowing us to host this conversation with you on our Craft Sundays. It is always a pleasure to reconnect.
Thank you for this opportunity. I am greatly appreciative.
So, you actually performed at Black Writers Weekend this past summer in August, which is now declared as Black August because of obviously what happened down in Montgomery. But people aren't really familiar that Black August has been a thing for many, many years. But we're looking to really amplify Black August. But tell us about your experience with Black Writers Weekend in itself.
Well, my experience at Black Writers Weekend was awesome. I was privileged to have the opportunity to perform and just be a part and be around like-minded people that shared similar visions and have those creative juices to be able to bounce ideas, to be in the company of people of high esteem and such creativity and such knowledge and a wealth of information. And to see people that look like you that want to do something and are doing something that is on that level is just an awesome thing to be able to say as well.
And so for those that may not understand, what's that level? What does that mean? What does that level mean to you?
When I say that level, as a Black man having Black sons, I would love to see more of our young people, both male and female, understand that while the arts is a magnificent way to make it, if you will, and by the arts I mean rapping, dancing, singing, and sports. Nothing is wrong with either, but don't limit yourself. And when I say that level, I mean we are educated, we are intellectual, we have just as much viability and capability as any other ethnicity. And we've been sold short for too long, far too long, and limited and stifled. And some of it is self inflicted, and a lot
Yes.
of it, unfortunately, comes from outer sources. And I would love to see us broaden our horizons in the writing, in the arts, as far as poetry, like seeing the Ava DuVernays and the Rhonda Shonda Rhimes and uh, Tyler Perry's and people of color to aspire to greatness in the literary form. It is something that is truly amazing and something that is truly needed. And just like I saw the promo that Kimberly did, where you guys were the beneficiaries of the grant recently, which will allow even more access on top of what you already do to be able to go into the schools and provide a platform and services to young people in the writing genre. I think that's awesome. I think that's, because I think about when I was growing up and when I was in school, you didn't see or hear, you saw the sports figures. Like, again, nothing wrong with sports figures. You knew the entertainers. And again, nothing wrong with that. But in this genre, you didn't see or know of anything or anyone, unless, what I learned about, I researched and found out on my own. And I'm glad I had that inner drive to want to learn and know that. I was like, we got to be doing something, or we have to have done something. So, but everybody doesn't have that, and to have it be available and made available so that people could be more aware, more informed, to be understanding of what options are out there, I think that would be a great thing. I think it is a great thing.
I would agree. It's our history is not our history here in this country is not a secret. As of recently with the banning of books and the trying to create a new history and erase certain histories. My fear is that within 40, 50, 60 years, they're going to say that slavery is a myth, that that it really didn't happen. Like that is the goal. But then outside of but outside of slavery, there's still a lot of systemic oppression that happens amongst minority groups, down to the areas that they can purchase a home, or the percentages that they put on our loans when it comes to banks, or the funding that our states give to our schools. There's just a number of different things, down to the type of rulings that they hand down in the court or the justice system. It's a lot of things that have hindered us as a race in general.
Yes.
There are statistically, I even follow an account on Twitter that continues to put out history that is long forgotten. A lot of our inventions, technology that we use today, comes from a Black mind. And often those inventions were stolen, and in camouflage, as if a white mind came up with it.
Right.
And then statistically as well, too, after the Civil War, there was we own about 19-20% of the land in the country. And again, population was really slim, a lot slimmer then. So that was a huge number. But then going fast forward to today, we own 4% of that land, and a lot of land was either stolen. Correct. And there's dozens of massacres that have been historically written down and accounted for, right, where there have been groups or that have terrorized Black communities, stolen their land, killed us, hung us from trees, and things like that your history or leaders of today are trying to wash away. So
Right.
this is why the root of our organization has always been about the written word. It's the same like you, Lloyd. When I began to really read and fall in love with reading like that, it was only a certain amount of Black writers that I was being exposed to. And then outside of the Harlem Renaissance, or your Maya Angelou's, your Toni Morrison's, yeah, the same group of Black people that
Right.
used to be supported and shown, and in the bookstores and libraries, or stories around those same sports figures, political figures. But there are hundreds and hundreds of others that were not being talked about and amplified, and that's where the root of AAMBC came into play, is to expose those unknown voices and those stories that have not been amplified. And so take us into your journey when you decided to not only read the stories, but begin to contribute to storytelling. Wouldn't you know that now was the time that you want to put your stories in black and white?
Well, to answer your first question, I can't say all my life because I didn't come out the room writing, but as a child, I loved to read and loved to write, and I cultivated a love for both in my youth. And I would say in my teenage/high school years is when I really began to explore writing on a greater level, as far as I wrote some plays for school. When I shared with one of my English teachers, who's unfortunately no longer with us, so God rest Mr. Williams' soul, that I like to write, he gave me the opportunity and the challenge to write small skits and plays for various things that were held in school, and he would challenge me in that realm, and I accepted that challenge. And he really helped to push me forward to cultivate and to strengthen my love for writing. And he was my teacher, I want to say beginning my sophomore year in high school through my senior year. And so for that 3-year period, he was very instrumental in playing a role in my life in that regard. And I'm forever grateful to him for that. And beyond and after that, I just continued to write. I continued to, a lot of it for myself, sometimes for people at church, or when I got old enough to get into the workforce, and people learned that about my my love for writing, I should say. They would commission me for different things like babies' births, loss of a loved one, or whatnot. And when I ultimately, to answer your book as far as, answer your question as far as writing a book, I remember it vividly. It was April 2003, and my wife and I were going to see a young man. Her friend's son was going to be in a high school play, and this was before GPS and whatnot. And she had gotten the directions and left me at home, so we were trying to navigate our way there. And when I stopped to get gas / ask directions on my way back out to my car, it was as vividly and as audible as if I heard someone speaking to me like I had just spoken to the clerk in the gas station. And it was God's voice. He told me, he said, write a book. And I'm like, and it was so vivid to me, and so much so that I was driving, and my wife, her name is Terry, and I said, Terry, you got to drive. I need to write. And she's like, right. And I was like, yes, I need to write. So we swapped places, and I began to write notes about things and to jot down ideas as far as what I wanted to do and the direction I wanted to go with the book. And the rest is history.
Okay, and so what book was that? Take us into, and this book is in print, correct?
Yes, ma'am. It is.
All right, so take us into the storyline. What's the title of it? And then take us into your plot.
Okay, the title of the book is The Struggle, something that we all can relate to because everybody has a struggle in one way or another.
Yep.
And my character's name is Sam Banks. Sam is professionally got his act together. He's an engineer, but personally, his life is kind of in chaos, and he had just gone through a breakup with his girlfriend. He's single, not married, and he was kind of going through the motions in life. And a friend of his reached out to him. His friend named Tim. I was like, "Hey man, let's just go hang out tonight." And they did. They went to a club. Go to a club. Sam gets wasted and makes the foolish decision to drive wasted, and he's involved in a car accident in which he kills the other party. So needless to say, he goes to prison for vehicular homicide. And while he's in prison, he meets a man who helps him to get his life in order, and he develops a relationship and gets his life in order spiritually, and develops a relationship with God, and develops a relationship with his son Jesus, and he gets out of prison, and then the title of the book kicks in. The struggle begins to turn from doing things his way to turn to doing things the new way that he had been shown and taught and instructed while he was in prison by the gentleman. And the gentleman that he met in prison who instructed him of this led him to his new way of life. His name is Phil.
Now, this is a very specific plot. So take us into why those order of those acts and situations that your character went through.
Well,
is there any relation to you, or
that's gonna be the first thing I was gonna say. It's not my story, and okay. I'm not saying that to sound holier than thou. It's not. You know, I've definitely had my struggles, but that was not one. Nor have I gone to prison myself. And I can't say to. I know people that have gone to prison, but I can't say to know anyone that had that specific scenario play out. That was how it felt right to me to go, the direction to take as far as what to write about. And the feedback that I've received regarding it is like, man, that was really relatable. And I will never forget, one of the greatest compliments I could have had paid to me was one of my brother-in-laws called me after reading the book. And this is maybe, I'm going to say 2 months afterwards. And we were talking on the phone, and he said, "Bro, I felt like I was watching a movie when I read your book." And I was like, "What you talking about?" His name is Troy. I said, "Troy, what you talking about?" He said, "I'm serious, man." He was like, "I felt like I was watching a movie." He was like, it was that vivid. It was like the imagery from what you were writing about, what you spoke about in the storyline. It read like a movie to me. So I was like, wow. So Troy told me that almost like, because time flies. I wrote that book in 2003, and this is 2020, 20 years ago. So he told me that about 20 years ago, and I still remember that conversation vividly, almost word for word, because of how impactful it was to me. And that's a goal that I have, that I must, need, and ought to, and better fulfill, to see this turn into a movie one day. So much so that I just finished taking a screenwriting class last month to learn the art of turning a work, or be it a book or a play, into a screenplay. So that's something that I'm working on now. A gentleman named Derry Titan taught the course. And,
oh yes, Mr. Derry.
Yeah. I took him. Derry was the instructor. I highly recommend that, brother. Highly recommend that. Yeah. He taught the course, and I took it. And matter of fact, I'm going to continue studying under him and learning from him, so that I can, like I said, make this come to pass and see it happen.
Yes, Mr. Derry is an excellent teacher. I also have taken his courses, and always loved how he teach. He also it's like he's speaking directly to you. Could be 30 folks in the room, but somehow he always makes the class personal and where you can easily understand. So highly recommend for those that are not familiar with Derry Titan. Definitely look him up. The Screenwriting Lab, I believe, is the name of his workbook that he has as well. So check that out. The Screenwriting Lab is and it's on Amazon. It's not too thick. It's not too complex. It's straight to the point. I mean, it's brilliant. I actually still utilize it to this day. So yes, I love Mr. Derry.
Yeah.
And I think that's pretty great that you're looking to now bring your words to life with visual storytelling. Did you kind of foresee yourself going this far with it? Because you're performing now, you have your stories in black and white, and now you're stepping into visual storytelling. Did you see yourself tapping into this? And if so, okay, what else do you see yourself tapping into?
I did not. Uh, I had no earthly idea that my life's journey would take this path. I'm glad that it has. You mentioned the performing. That is a funny story. I went to a Black History program, in February, back in February of this year at the library in, I say the, is it there's only one, but at a library in Lithonia. And as part of the program that was awesome, I must say, and from beginning to end, there were three people and they performed separately as spoken word performers, two men and one woman. And one of the men and the lady, they both had to leave prior to the end of the show. And the one gentleman who did get to stay until the end, I went to him afterwards and told him how impressed I was with what he had done and how much I enjoyed him. And he and I began to talk. And a couple of weeks after we met, I opened up to him in the fact that I shared that I like to write. And he said, well, what do you like to write? And I told him, I said, story. I told him about that I've written this book and I do like to write poetry. So he asked me if I would mind sharing some of it with him. And I did. And he's from New York and he's been living here about 18, 19 years. So he's been here for quite a while in Atlanta, that is. And the New York came out of him when I say that because he responded to me, "Oh, kid, you got to spit that." And I was like, man, I ain't never did anything like that before. And he responded to me so matter of factly, I had no response or no comeback. He said, "Who has until they do?" And I was like, "Oh, yeah, you're right." So, lo and behold, that was the I embarked upon a spoken word career, and I absolutely love it now. And
What do you love about and tell us what you love about the spoken word process?
What I love about it is it's challenging. It's not just, and this is not a knock on any poet. I'm just picking him because he would be someone that we could be able to recognize. I'm gonna say Dr. Seuss. You ain't just saying green. I am green eggs and ham. When you write a spoken word performer, when he or she writes a piece, they're writing about something that is of some serious substance. Be it even those that are writing the erotic forms, which I don't personally, and I'm not knocking them, but that's their genre and that's their choice. But I choose to write about subject matters that are something that is either political or social climate. And I've heard others that have written about things of similar nature and other things that may be about life or whatever, and about being a black man or being a black woman or about life in the corporate America, whatever the case may be. But to take those subjects and to rhyme them and still make sense, it is not easy to do. And I find that more difficult than I do memorizing it. Even as much as I love to write and I love the finished product, when I look back at it, I'm tired almost. And to use my phrase my grandmother used to say, feel like I've been working in the field. So I've just been sitting out a test, because it is taxing, it is challenging. And when I get to perform it, it feels like that's the culmination. It's like I want to get the audience reaction because I want to share it. And then I'm able to get people's feedback and get that visual response from seeing how they react and or hearing how they react. So it's definitely enjoyable to me. It's definitely enjoyable.
So you're working on your visual storytelling now. You're doing your spoken word. You have your books out. 24 is right around the corner.
Yes.
These conversations about owning your craft, even how you stepped into your craft. So how are you continuing to own it, build it,
nurture it, and grow within your craft? Especially then, we'll just talk about the next 12 months.
Okay, certainly. The next 12 months, as I mentioned, I took the screenwriters course in September, and I plan to continue to study under Derek and to learn more techniques to refine, enhance, and grow. Because I certainly don't know everything I need to know, but I want to learn as much as I can so that I can turn this into a movie, like Troy said. And I'm working on the sequel. The sequel to The Struggle is titled Walking in Victory, and it picks up where the struggle leaves off as far as what Sam Banks is doing in his life now. I plan to continue my spoken word career because, as I did allude to, I love doing so. And another thing that I plan to add to my repertoire, or add to my list of things I'm doing, is since I've been doing the spoken word, I've had a couple of people come up to me and compliment me after performances and ask me if I do voiceover work. And similar to and the gentleman who I'm referring to that was the performer, he's now my mentor. His stage name is El Uno, and his name is Lamar Taylor. So when Lamar suggested to me about doing the spoken word, and I had several inquiries or about asking me about voiceover, I said, well, maybe that's something I should pursue or consider. And I did consider and pursue it, and I have pursued it so much so that I'll begin taking courses from a husband and wife whom I've met, and they did a Zoom introductory class with me about a month ago, and they're both veterans in the voiceover industry of 26 years. He's been performing 26 years, his wife 21 years, because about a year after they got married, she began to participate in it as well. So they jointly do it, and they began teaching about 12 years ago. And so that's something that I plan to pursue. He told me from the initial conversation and the initial audition, if you will, that he could foresee me doing things in the realm of narration of stories. Because one thing he said, when you think of voiceover, what do you think? And I said, commercials and movies. He said, that's what 99% of people say. He said, but voiceover is so much more than that. He said, because think about when you hear, granted it is a commercial, but when you hear a medical ad for a product, that's voiceover work. When you hear a PSA in a public place, such as an airport or a bus station, that's voiceover work. When you hear something in the workplace, that's a PSA about a new policy that's being implemented. That's more likely voiceover work. And even if it's the HR person doing the commercial on behalf of the company, it's a voiceover. So he was saying there's so many things that is involved in it. And he also shared this. He said it's a $4 billion, not M million, $1 billion industry.
Yep.
So he said the work is there.
I mean, so doing the research, connecting with different people, those are like physical, sometimes tangible things that you have to do to sustain dreaming. But also, can you share some of the spiritual, mental things also that you are tapping into just to sustain this journey of dreaming or entrepreneurship, which can be a really harsh or an uphill battle? It's not built for the weak at all.
No,
so for those that are actively wanting to pursue goals and dreams, or they're in it right now, can you share some of your own personal techniques?
Well, I pray daily, and I am grateful that in my prayers, I ask God to align and place people in my path that can be a help to me, and I can be in turn a help to him or her. And such as yourself, such as the gentleman I mentioned, Lamar, such as, and they're the voiceover couple, their names are John and Danette Galugli, and countless people that are too, without not wanting to omit anyone, to slight anyone, that I have had come across my path. Or my brother-in-law Troy, I mentioned, he's been a source of encouragement to me. that God is allowed to be in my path. So I continually pray. I seek out like-minded people such as yourself, such as the organizations that you pilot and chair, and similar literary organizations, so that I can be around people that I can encourage and they can encourage me as well. Because, iron sharpens iron, so that we can be a vehicle that can help drive one another jointly. It's not a one-sided affair. So I continually seek out mentors, because I know that I don't have it all or know it all or got it all together. And I try to be a mentor in my own right to help others that may be aspiring to do things, or share what knowledge I have and be a sounding board, if you will. So it's not just a one-sided affair in the give me, but it's a share and share alike. Is I got so that I can give. It's not just hoarding it.
Mm-hmm. I love that. All right, Mr. Lloyd. So for those that want to discover more about you, even get your books, may want to even see where you're performing, do you have a digital home space, like a website, social media? Tell people where we can be able to find you and follow you.
Well, I am rebuilding my website, so I don't have that to provide at present, but you can contact me via Instagram. I have to give props to my son. I have two sons whom are great guys. I love dearly, but my youngest son, to be more specific, Jeremiah, when I began performing as a spoken word artist, he's like, "Dad, you need an Instagram page." So I was like, "Okay, so build it, make it for me." So he did. So my Instagram is at LDJWRITER. That's at LDJWriter. And that is also the prefix to my email, which is ldjwriter@att.net or ldjwriter@gmail.com. And I do and am planning to relaunch my website in the very near future. So I will have that information to share very soon.
All right, Mr. Lloyd Dotson. It has been a pleasure to watch you grow, to continue to step out on faith, try new things. You're taking risk, and you're challenging yourself every step of the way, and you're adding on new challenges. So I'm rooting for you. I'm absolutely excited about your future, and I cannot see what the next 12 months has for you. Thank you so much for sharing with us on this Craft Sunday.
Thank you. I am honored to have been given this platform and this opportunity. And I have nothing but great admiration and respect for you, what you're doing, for what you have done, and what you have yet in store to bless us with, because I know it will be nothing short of absolutely awesome.
Thank you so much. And so I hope to see you next year at our 24, it's our 16th year, but year 2024 Black Writers Weekend. Y'all can find more at blackwritersweekend.com. It will be back for another 4 days, August 1st through the 4th, in Atlanta, Georgia, yet again. Thank you all so very much. I have been your host, the founder of AAMBC and Black Writers Weekend, Tamika Newhouse. I will see you all back here again for another Sunday Craft Talks.
I'm Tamika Newhouse, and I am the founder of AAMBC, African Americans on the Move Book Club. Back in 2008, I was in San Antonio, Texas. I wanted to be a part of a book club, but I didn't know anyone in the city. And I felt it was kind of weird to walk up to other grown women and be like, hey, you want to read with me? You want to be my friend? So therefore, I took to MySpace and I started to talk about the books I have read. Through that format, I met hundreds and hundreds of writers, and I decided to talk about their books and launch their books and give them a platform. And eventually see what it is that you perceive. So I thought that was really good. It's more than just telling us what we want, but showing us. And that's really hard for a lot of writers to do. I'm kind of proud. In 2009, I decided to launch the AAMBC Literary Awards because I noticed that as an artist, we didn't have a platform where we were celebrated. There were the music shows, there were the award shows for movies and actors and Broadway. I'm like, well, hey, hello, what about us? You know, we don't have a show for us either, and we're artists as well. And so therefore, I decided to launch the awards in San Antonio, Texas. It eventually traveled to Baltimore, and now here we are in Atlanta. It's not about one person, it's not about one genre, it's about all of us as a unit. Thank you all for coming out, and I hope you enjoy the show.